Welcome to this snowy Michigan day. Hope you are all doing well on this Monday. Hey Lauren, welcome and congratulations for winning the book. I'm going to hopefully get your book out later this week. So, you are most welcome. Hey husband. All right, this is Katie M. Reed from katiemreed.com. Just give me a little, yeah, we do have a lot of snow. Kids are playing outside. Well, half of them are playing outside. And I'm going to turn around here. Hang on. Okay, hello. Yeah, it's not just a dusting, hubby. It's a little more than a dusting. I'm rocking the pigtails today. I haven't done this in a long time. See, I think one's longer than the other. But anyway, sounded like an easy thing to do. How are y'all doing? I hope you had a great weekend. It's pretty cozy here. Thanks, hubby. My back's getting pretty hot here by the fire, but it was pretty cold, so I had to crank it up. But I have a confession to make. I have been pretty discouraged lately. It seems everywhere I turn, online friends or acquaintances are publishing their books, and I am so excited for them. I really am. But sometimes when you have a similar dream to somebody else, it can be a big bummer, like you feel left behind. One of the favorite things that I read this year that I'm going to probably share on my favorite post list in December was from Anne Swindle. I think that's how you say her name. Swindle. Oh, now I feel embarrassed. But anyway, it was really good, and it was about if we keep in step with the Spirit, we cannot fall behind. Hey, Ashley, welcome. So glad you're here. If you guys have not checked out The Pointed Life, they have a beautiful website and awesome resources, and you really should be following them on all social media channels. Some of my friends over there, and they're doing a phenomenal job seeking the heart of the Lord. So anyway, so if we keep in step with the Spirit, we won't be falling behind. But sometimes, we have expectations with our God-given dreams. You are most welcome, Ashley. We have expectations that it's going to play out in a certain timetable or it's going to look a certain way. And I have, 2014. Okay, I realize it's not long compared to some people, but I've been trying to birth this baby book, okay? I had 20,000 words of a memoir done, and then I kind of switched gears and made it a Christian living book. I'm still waiting to hear back, and I've just been getting really discouraged. It just feels like I feel left behind, and I know that that's not true. He comes in due time, right? We talked about that before. So the other day, I was kind of lamenting a little bit to my writing encouragement team, and I'm just being transparent with them that I'm feeling discouraged. And then I started sharing with them some good news too. Good news is, I think I shared this with you guys. Maybe I haven't yet. I said it on Twitter, but on January 8th, a story I wrote about my brother, just an essay, is going to be a book called Tales of Our Lives by Matilda Butler. And that comes out on Amazon January 8th. And it's only going to be 99 cents at the time. And so that's really exciting news, right? And then I started thinking, okay, I've had 2 articles published on ibelieve.com recently, and one of them kind of goes along with my book message. Thank you, Lauren, about being a tightly wound woman. And so then I started thinking, man, I'm saying I'm discouraged, but some really cool things are happening. But has that ever happened to you where you kind of have your sight set on a particular thing, and you kind of fail to see the little celebrations along the way? Because we can be so focused on that end goal that we don't realize all the amazing things that are happening. I'm trying to think when I started reading 1,000 Gifts by Ann Voskamp, but I want to say, okay, when did it come out? Does anybody know? Because I want to say it was September of 2011. Does that sound right? That I would have started to read the book? Anyway, it was either 11 or 12. I'm pretty sure it was 11, but God really started changing my heart. I used to make all these lists of things I wanted, or needed, mostly kind of wanted, and put them on the fridge or put them in my journal. I would do this all the time, okay? So I was focusing on what I didn't have. But when I started reading Anne's book, beautifully poetically written, 1,000 Gifts, I started keeping a list of all the things I was thankful for. And I was amazed at all the ways God was showing me love that I was just passing by or rushing through. And I was reminded I had gotten away from this habit recently. Yes, total paradigm shift. I mean, it really did change my life and make me a more content person that was more aware of God's love, but I've gotten away from it. And, I think it's one of those habits we just shouldn't get away from, right? Because especially living in our culture, we are so rich, but yet we are often discontent because we're always comparing what everyone else has. So I gotten out of the practice. And so the other day, hey, welcome, Becca. Glad you're here. So the other day when I was writing to my writing encouragement team, I started writing these things. I'm like, I guess I really shouldn't be discouraged because some really cool things are happening. Even though they're not the one thing I want to happen, there's some really great things. And they've happened in kind of a short period of time when you think about it. So how many of you keep 1,000 Gifts list or thankful list? And this is November. It's almost Thanksgiving. Hey, Tara, welcome. So, of course, we're thinking about Thanksgiving, but all throughout the year, I want to get back to journaling those Thanksgivings because it really does change your perspective. Yes, Lauren, you absolutely need to start one. And, I remember I was in a book club and we did 1,000 Gifts, and one of my friends said, I feel like I would just be writing the same things all the time, but Anne has great little prompts on her site, aholyexperience.com. I think, yeah, that's still what her site is. It's probably AnneVoskamp.com maybe too. But let's see, I did an A through M list of my Thanksgiving today in my blog. Very cool. That's awesome. Tara, why don't you put your blog address? Yes, I need to get back into it too, Ashley, because it really does help. And it's not just like, I have all these things, but I love seeing how God is at work. If you went over to purposefulfaith.com to Kelly Bellari's blog today, or if you're on the Cheerleaders for Christ Facebook group, she shared this awesome story of God working in the middle of the night. Thank you, Tara. Of God working in the middle of the night and just showing her a cross through the moon. It's a really awesome story. But so many times we miss those things because we're either focused on what we don't have or we're just busy rushing through life. So let's all, maybe whenever you have your quiet time in the morning, maybe even in the shower. Obviously you're probably not writing things down in the shower, but you could be thinking, God, thank you for this. Thank you for that. And it's not just, like I said, what we have, but it's Him showing His love in all these creative ways. It could be through creation. It could be through a good meal you have. It could be for a card you got in the mail, whatever it is. And then it also encourages you to be that for other people too. How are they seeing God through you in little small ways? Do you ever get those little promptings like, I should call so-and-so, or I should send so-and-so a letter? Don't ignore those. I'm speaking to myself too, because they can make all the difference. I remember one time where Adam and I, and we probably had either 2 or 3 kids at the time. We lived out in Arizona at a camp, and we were pretty overwhelmed. Yes, the more we list our blessings, the blessings we will find. That is true. So as we were living in Arizona, we were pretty overwhelmed. We had small kids, work was stressful, and there was a lady who would come volunteer for several weeks or months at a time, and she just said, I want to offer to babysit your kids. And we trusted her, and she might have even said something like, the Lord laid you guys on my heart or whatever. And it was such an answer to prayer. And I just said to her, Sherry, thank you so much for being sensitive, because God really spoke to a need that we had. And, she could have brushed that off or felt weird offering or whatever, but she followed through. And I've never, forgotten that story, because she was just attuned to the Lord, and He's able to meet our needs. Nothing is too hard for Him. So He could whisper to someone across the seas, hey, do this, and it could affect us, or vice versa, right? As I shared with you guys before, I'm an affiliate for Dayspring and Crafty Cash and Fashion and Compassion. And when you purchase through any of those, they're all great organizations, but Fashion and Compassion is employing vulnerable women. And I just thought, you know what? if we buy a necklace and maybe we give it as a gift this Christmas, it's like we're not only blessing that person, but we're blessing this woman who we may never meet this side of heaven, and we could be the answer to her prayer. I remember one more story before we close. I went on a mission trip to Costa Rica, and there's this lady named Nani, and Nani was helping us, kind of our group, throughout the time. She worked at the local church there, and we were delivering groceries to kind of the slum area. And I think we had one bag left. And our leader said, I think it'd really bless Nani if we gave it to her. And it kind of surprised me because I'm like, oh, she works at the church. She seemed pretty well put together. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I kind of developed this somewhat relationship with her. So I was excited to do that. Well, we brought it to her. Well, she actually lived at the church with her son because they couldn't afford to live somewhere else. And they didn't have food for the week. And she was praying that God would provide. And here God used us to provide. It was just a story of like, wow, you just never know what God is up to, but he is indeed trustworthy. So I hope that encourages you today. Count your blessings. You are so blessed, even if you don't realize it. I mean, even things like, I have some friends that are homebound, and it's like, I am sure they are thankful for windows, so they can see out. I am sure, I have a friend who's in a wheelchair, she would give anything to be thankful for walking legs, but she's thankful that she can eat and swallow and all those kind of things. But we are so blessed, and I don't know about you, but I want to get my head out of the mud and start focusing on those things that God is doing and not miss it because I'm just determined for this one thing, to happen. So I hope that encourages you today for the Monday message. I'm Katie M. Reed from katiemreed.com. Tomorrow, I hope you come over to the blog. Our family does a giving initiative each month where we showcase a certain organization or ministry that we believe in and believe in what they're doing for the kingdom. And tomorrow is Mercy House and Fair Trade Friday. And Kristen Welch was so gracious to let me interview her via email. And so I'm going to share that with you tomorrow. And if you don't know about Fair Trade Friday Club, I encourage you to do so. We've ordered a one-time box to use for gift giving this Christmas, and it should be here soon. I'll try to do a Periscope of it once I receive it, but I hope you don't miss that post tomorrow. And then on Thanksgiving, I'm also going to post because November 26th is a really big day in our family. So if you've been on the blog, you probably know why, but I'm going to be kind of recalling why. So I hope you join me this week on the blog, katiemreed.com. And thank you for joining me for this edition of the Monday Message. Have a great day. And yes, hubby and I will be here Wednesday for Stop Hammock Time, but we will not be the next Wednesday because we have a Christmas play to go to. So we'll have to figure out something different for that. But I will